So let's face it, category fraud is something that happens all the time at the Oscars, and so I thought it would be fun to make a list of the 10 most egregious examples. Now, I decided not to put anyone who was nominated or who won in the lead acting categories that I think maybe should have gone like in supporting. Like, I could have Anthony Hopkins here for The Silence of the Lambs. He's in like 20 minutes of that movie and won Best Actor. But I don't know, I kind of like that lead actor win. It doesn't bother me. I think even though he's not in a lot of the movie, his presence is felt all throughout that narrative. So lead actor makes more sense to me in a way than supporting actor. It's not only about the specific minute someone has on screen, and that's especially true in the lead acting categories. I get much more agitated when it comes to the supporting acting categories, a performance that's clearly a lead, a performance that takes up more than half the movie, sometimes 80 to 90% of the movie, and then they're nominated in supporting actor or supporting actress. That's when I go off, especially if they win over someone who's a true supporting performance who I think should have taken the gold trophy, but then they lose to someone who really just won because they were in more of their movie. So in this list of the worst category fraud examples, we're talking about people who were nominated for supporting actor or supporting actress. Let's get started. Number 10, Haley Steinfeld, True Grit.
They tell me you're a man with true grit.
What do you want, girl? Speak up at supper time.
We start this list with a performance by a younger person. I believe this was her film debut. If not, she had only been in a couple other things. And the reason that Steinfeld is nominated in supporting actress here and not lead actress, first, is that lead actress for 2010 was extremely competitive, so this one kind of makes sense. Steinfeld was never going to make that final 5 in Best Actress. But she's also supporting actress because you could argue like she is supporting a bigger named actor who's also the lead of the movie, and that's Jeff Bridges. It's something that happens here and there. A lesser known person is put in supporting actor or supporting actress because they're acting alongside of someone who's a bigger name. But True Grit really revolves around Haley Steinfeld's character. She's in almost the entire movie, so it's kind of weird to suggest she's a supporting actress in that film, even though it was going to be near impossible to make that lead actress category. Steinfeld really is not a supporting actress in True Grit. Number 9, Brad Pitt, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Whoa, whoa. Hey,
I'm sorry about that.
here, put these on. Don't cry in front of the Mexicans.
So another sensation we've been seeing, especially in the last few decades, is that if you have a movie with 2 co-leads and they're both the same gender, we don't want to put them both in lead actor. They're going to cancel each other out. And so the studio says, well, let's put this person in lead actor and then let's campaign this other person in supporting actor. They'll have a better shot of getting nominated, maybe winning. This was the case for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I believe Leonardo DiCaprio and Brad Pitt are co-leads in that movie. They're not always on screen together. There's sections of the film with just DiCaprio. There's sections with just Pitt. But even though Pitt is playing the stunt double for DiCaprio's character, and so you could argue, well, he's like the stunt double to the lead of the movie within the movie, so Brad Pitt should be supporting and DiCaprio should be lead. I'm not arguing that DiCaprio should have gone supporting. I do think DiCaprio belongs in lead actor for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. But I feel like if that movie had come out a few decades ago, these two would have both been in lead actor. The thing is, I don't think that's ever going to happen again. 2 people of the same gender in the same movie nominated in lead actor or lead actress. The last time it happened in lead actor was way back in the mid-1980s when F. Murray Abraham and Tom Hulce were nominated for Amadeus. And then in lead actress, the last time it happened was Gina Davis and Susan Sarandon for Thelma and Louise. Thelma and Louise is more than 30 years old, so this is never going to happen again. Even if you have 2 amazing performances in the same movie, it's 2 men or 2 women, they will figure out an excuse to have one in lead and one in supporting. Of course, this helped Brad Pitt immensely because he got nominated in supporting actor, and then he won in 2020 in that category. If he had been campaigned in lead actor, I'm not even sure Brad Pitt makes the final 5 that year, but in supporting actor, he wins. Number 8, Rooney Mara, Carol.
Do you know much about train sets?
I do, actually, and we just got a new model in last week. It's hand-built with hand-painted cars. It's a limited edition of 5,000. You might have seen it on the way in over by the elevators.
Now here's an example of a movie where I guess you could turn to the title and say, well, it's called Carol, Cate Blanchett plays Carol, so she's nominated for lead actress, and Rooney Mara, who plays a character in the movie not named Carol, gets nominated in supporting actress. Makes sense, I guess. Cate Blanchett is the bigger name, the one who has more Academy Awards and nominations behind her, so it makes sense to have her get in lead and Mara get in supporting. But when you watch this movie, it's really the story of Mara's character. We're seeing this film through her eyes, so this is a weird case. I actually think it should have been flipped. I think Blanchett should have been in supporting, and Mara should have been in lead. But again, I think it's confusing with that title, and then Blanchett is just better known than Mara, so I get it. But Mara really should be in the lead actress category here, not supporting. I even read on a website that Mara was apparently upset that she had been campaigned in supporting. She herself even believed that was a lead performance. Mara was never going to beat Brie Larson for Room in lead actress, and sadly Mara also couldn't win in supporting actress because in that category she was up against Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl, another example of category fraud. That is a lead performance in The Danish Girl, and yet Vikander won anyway. Number 7, Mahershala Ali, Green Book.
Right, that's good. It's perfect, Tony.
I love Ali's Best Supporting Actor win for Moonlight 2 years before Green Book. That is in every way a supporting acting performance. He's basically out of the movie after the opening 30 to 40 minutes, and we don't see him again, although his presence is felt throughout that film even when he's not there. But then we get to Green Book, and this is an obvious example of category fraud because Ali and Mortensen are co-leads of that movie. Both of these guys should have been in lead actor, but here we have again a case where we can't have two guys from the same movie nominated in the same category. So because I guess Ali's character isn't there at the very beginning, he comes into the movie, 20 to 30 minutes in? I guess you could argue that Mortensen has more screen time throughout the film, but it's in every way Ali's character's story as it is Mortensen's character. So even though I've recently said I'm not a huge fan of this Ali performance, especially next to Moonlight, if it had been nominated, it should have been in lead actor. Ultimately, this is not one of my favorite years for acting wins because if Ali had been in lead actor for Green Book, he would have lost there to Rami Malek for Bohemian Rhapsody. So yeah, this is just kind of a mess. Number 6, Jennifer Connelly, A Beautiful Mind.
Charles was watching him. He was okay.
There's no one here.
Charles was watching him.
This was the first example of category fraud at the Oscars I remember recognizing when I was in high school. A Beautiful Mind came out when I was 17, and even back then I remember being confused when Jennifer Connelly started winning awards in Best Supporting Actress. She's the lead female performance of that movie. She's in a ton of that film. Okay, she's not really at the beginning. It's not all her story. It is more Russell Crowe's character story than it is hers. But she has so much screen time in that film, especially in the second half, that I feel like it's hard to argue that it's a supporting performance, so much so that at the Screen Actors Guild Awards, Jennifer Connelly was nominated for Best Lead Actress, not Best Supporting Actress. That is why she did not sweep the season, and why Helen Mirren won Best Supporting Actress at SAG for Gosford Park. It's because Connelly was not in Supporting Actress. A similar thing happened a year before with Benicio del Toro, who won the Best Supporting Actor Oscar for Traffic. He won the Best Lead Actor prize at SAG for Traffic, not Supporting Actor. So this happens here and there. Someone gets into supporting for a while and then it goes to lead. Sometimes it goes back again. I think about Kate Winslet for The Reader. That to me was always a lead actress performance, and so I was happy when we finally got to the Oscars that they made the right decision, putting her in lead actress, not supporting actress. But usually you see the opposite happen. Someone like Jennifer Connelly in A Beautiful Mind should be in lead actress, but at the Oscars she gets into supporting, and then she wins, because she has way more screen time than the other 4 people in her category. Number 5, Timothy Hutton, Ordinary People.
I need something.
What do you need? Tell me.
It just keeps coming and I can't make it stop.
So let's finally go back in time a little bit, all the way back to 1980 and the release of Ordinary People, which did very well at the Oscars. It won Best Picture, Best Director, and it won Best Supporting Actor for Timothy Hutton. This was one of Hutton's first roles in a movie, and not a lot of people knew who he was yet. You could argue that in a way he was supporting Mary Tyler Moore and Donald Sutherland in that movie, since those two are more established stars, especially at the time. But this is one of the top 5 most egregious examples of category fraud, because this is Timothy Hutton's character's story, it's his movie, and he is in almost the entire thing. Like, he is all over this film and this narrative. It is not a supporting anything. This is a lead performance that should have gotten into lead actor, and it's especially so because Donald Sutherland, who gives an excellent performance in that movie, wasn't even nominated to begin with in lead actor. So it's not like this is a case where Sutherland and Hutton were duking it out for that trophy. So you'd think somebody along the way that award season would have made the right call and said, this is a lead performance, let's put him in lead actor. I mean, in the long run, Hutton's probably happy he was put in supporting actor, because there was no way in hell he was going to defeat Robert De Niro for Raging Bull. That's one of the all-time great movie performances, one of the best acting Oscar wins ever. So that was never going to happen. If Hutton wanted to win the Academy Award, it had to be in supporting actor. Again, kind of like the Haley Steinfeld thing, I think because Timothy Hutton was young enough and he wasn't very established, like, we could maybe make the case it's a supporting performance. But here we are more than 40 years later, and that is such a ridiculous example of category fraud. Number 4, Viola Davis, Fences.
I planted a seed and watched it braid over. I planted myself inside you and waited to bloom. It didn't take me no 18 years to realize the soil was hard and rocky and it was never gonna bloom.
I maintain to this day, I think Viola Davis would have won the Oscar for Fences in lead actress over Emma Stone in La La Land, over Isabelle Huppert for Elle. I don't think this was the case of a year where there was someone else who had that Academy Award for lead actress in the bag. Viola Davis was kind of overdue by early 2017. She had been nominated a few times before for Doubt and The Help. She almost won for The Help. And as good as Emma Stone is in La La Land, I just don't think that performance would have beaten Viola Davis's turn in Fences. This felt to me from the beginning of that award season as a strategic move from Viola Davis, from everybody surrounding her campaign. She's in enough offenses, you could make the argument that that's a lead female performance, not a supporting one. But in this case, the reason I believe Davis decided to go supporting was that she wanted to win an Oscar. She knew that there was going to be competition in lead actress. The supporting actress race that season was pretty wide open. There wasn't anyone in a 2016 movie who was going to steamroll that category. I mean, I feel like Michelle Williams probably would have done well for Manchester by the Sea. That is a true supporting performance. She's only in a part of that film. But I'm sure there were conversations, and at the end of the day, Viola Davis said, let's just go supporting. Let's get me that gold trophy. And that's what happened here. I do think this is a rare example of someone who won in supporting actor or supporting actress, who if they had gone lead, they would have won there too. I believe Viola Davis would have won the Best Actress Oscar for Fences. Number 3, Jamie Foxx, Collateral.
Music school. You got it in music school, right?
His father was a dentist, East St. Louis.
So whenever I see the term category fraud, the first person I think of is always Jamie Foxx for Collateral, that amazing 2004 Michael Mann drama thriller starring Fox and Tom Cruise. Jamie Foxx is in that entire movie. His character is almost never off screen. Tom Cruise plays a big role in that film. You could argue he's a lead actor, although I've always thought that Tom Cruise is the supporting acting performance in Collateral, and Jamie Foxx is the lead acting performance. And then at the Oscars, Foxx gets the Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor. I remember watching the nominations live that morning and just being like, what the F? like, this is crazy. Now, in this case, it makes total sense because 2004 was the year of ROWE, and Jamie Foxx was the frontrunner in Best Actor for that film. It's an Academy Awards rule that an actor cannot compete against himself or herself in the same category. So like Jamie Foxx can't be in supporting actor twice, he can't be in lead actor twice. So if he wanted to be nominated for Collateral as well as ROWE that year, he had to be nominated for Collateral in supporting actor. Those were the rules. And I guess you could make the argument that because Tom Cruise is such a superstar, he's such a big name, that because of his star power, he is the lead actor of Collateral, and Jamie Foxx, because he's not quite as well known, is supporting Cruise. I don't really buy that. I think that's really dumb. But those are two main reasons why Foxx is in the supporting acting category. But still, I think this might be controversial to say. I think we should have just not nominated Foxx in supporting actor. We could have just let his performance in ROWE be the big star that year. He was always going to win the Oscar in Best Actor for ROWE. So why do we need that nomination for Collateral? It's never made sense to me. I felt the same way about Holly Hunter for 1993. She was nominated in lead actress for The Piano and won, and then she got that throwaway nomination in supporting actress for The Firm. Like, there were so many great performances that could have been nominated there, and we wasted on her turn in The Firm. It's like, what? So yeah, I'm not a huge fan of that Collateral nomination. I think he's great in that film, and I would have liked him to have been nominated, but it should have been in lead actor, not supporting. Number 2, Al Pacino, The Godfather.
You're my older brother, and I love you. But don't ever take sides with anyone against the family again.
This is the oldest film on my list, and again, it's one of the most ridiculous examples of category fraud at the Oscars. Here was a case where Al Pacino was so mad that he had been nominated in supporting actor and not lead actor that he did not even attend the ceremony. I remember reading that once, that Pacino did not show up to the Oscars the year of The Godfather because he did not believe he gave a supporting acting performance that he should have been in the lead actor category with Marlon Brando. The Godfather is really Michael Corleone's story. Even though he's not in like the whole movie, he's not in the opening scene, like by the end of the film, that is his narrative. He should have been in lead actor. And this is back in the early 70s where you didn't see as much category fraud. I mean, look at the Best Actor category for 72 and you see 2 actors from Sleuth, Michael Caine and Laurence Olivier, so they were perfectly happy nominating 2 people of the same gender from the same movie in lead actor or lead actress back then, and supporting actor already had 2 other people from The Godfather, Robert Duvall and James Caan, and especially given that those are 2 true supporting performances in The Godfather, it feels weird to have Al Pacino there as well. He's in a lot more of the movie. As I said, this is his story. I don't know if he could have beaten Marlon Brando for Best Actor, probably not. I mean, Marlon Brando in The Godfather is extraordinary. And even though he's not in a lot of it, kind of like Anthony Hopkins in The Silence of the Lambs, he really leaves a mark on that film. I don't think Al Pacino would have won over Brando, but Pacino 100% should have been nominated in lead actor for The Godfather, not supporting actor. And finally, my choice for the number 1 most egregious example of category fraud at the Oscars is Tatum O'Neal in Paper Moon.
Must be lots of good towns around here. Do some 20s, drop some wallets. Before you know it, we'll be real good again. I'll bet in no time we can have a whole new car and everything.
Tatum O'Neal gives one of the best child performances ever in the history of cinema. This is a performance that should have gotten an Oscar nomination, that should have won, but no way in hell in Best Supporting Actress, Tatum O'Neal as Addie is in virtually every frame of the entire movie. She's in every scene, she's in the opening scene, she's at the end. This is her story, just as it is the story of Moses, played by Ryan O'Neal. So here we have the most annoying example of category fraud, the thinking that just because Tatum O'Neal is a child, because she's young, she doesn't belong in the lead actress category. Apparently that's a category that's only designated for older actresses. If they're young, no. Oh, you were in every frame of the movie? Doesn't matter. You go into supporting actress. I don't say this very often, but the Golden Globes got it right. They nominated Tatum O'Neal in lead actress in a musical or comedy, not supporting actress. That's how Linda Blair won the Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress. Linda Blair is in a lot of The Exorcist, but I do believe that is a supporting performance. I think that would have been a great win for Linda Blair at the Oscars. Another terrific win would have been Madeline Kahn in Best Supporting Actress for Paper Moon. That is a true supporting acting performance. She's in about 18 minutes of the film, around the halfway mark. She comes in just for a few scenes, makes a huge impression, and then we don't see her again. That is a supporting actress performance. I'm so happy she got nominated. But how is Madeline Kahn expected to compete with Tatum O'Neal when she's in the entire movie? It's not fair. It doesn't feel right. 50 years on, it doesn't make sense. Glenda Jackson won Best Actress that year at the Oscars for A Touch of Class. She was vulnerable. That wasn't necessarily a performance that had Best Actress in the bag. Tatum O'Neal might have still won an Academy Award if she had been put in the proper category, Best Actress. We'll never know. I'm not mad that Tatum O'Neal won an Oscar for Paper Moon, and I'm not upset that to this day she is still the youngest person to ever win a competitive Oscar. But in supporting actress, give me an effing break. Tatum O'Neal should have been nominated for Paper Moon in the lead actress category.